Hello, my dear students. Today's lesson is about trigonometry, which is the geometry of triangles. In the beginning, we'll only deal with right angle triangles. As you see, there is a right angle here, and of course, the other two angles should be acute. About this angle, the side opposite to it, we will name it opposite. Here's the angle. The side that closes her mouth is opposite to her, so it's the opposite. And the very famous side, which is the longest side in the right angle triangle, everyone knows its name. It's called the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the longest side in the right angle triangle. Then what about this side that links the angle to the right angle? We name it adjacent. The adjacent is the side that links the angle to the right angle. There is a very famous word, we'll take it today. It is SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. It looks like a Japanese word. SOHCAHTOA. Everyone says SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. So stands for sine, and it's a ratio. Sine, an angle, is opposite over hypotenuse. Ka stands for cosine, and cosine, an angle, it's the ratio between adjacent over its hypotenuse. And TOA is the ratio of opposite over adjacent. What is SO? It is sine an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. What is Ka? It is cosine an angle, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. What is TOA? Tan an angle is opposite over adjacent. Let's take some examples. In this example, we should write the names of each side, given or unknown, but the third side will not be mentioned. Please don't write its name because I don't want you to get confused. The side which is opposite to the 20 degrees, we name it what? Opposite. The side that links the angle to the right angle, we name it what? Adjacent. Now, what is the relation which connects opposite and adjacent? Let's write them. SOHCAHTOA. I believe it's not so because so is having a hypotenuse. It's not ka because it's having a hypotenuse. So it is TOA, yes. So we'll write that tan 20 is opposite over adjacent. The opposite over adjacent. Tan 20, let's substitute, equals the opposite, which is x, over the adjacent, which is 5. And in order to get an x, we just put a 1 and say fraction equals fraction, then cross multiplication. X equals, don't write 10, 20 times 5, please. So what shall we write? I'm afraid you get when you calculate the product of 20 times 5, which is 100. Please don't write 20 times 5. To protect you, put this 5 here. Please write it as 5, 10, 20. It's easy to calculate. Take care that the mode of your calculator should be always in degrees. Watch the display of the calculator. There is a tiny letter D exactly up in the middle of the calculator. Okay, now calculate 5, 10, 20 equals, you will get 1.81985. Tick, 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 tick. Please, we have to know something. Rounding aside, we will usually write it as 3 significant figures or more. 1.82. If it is in centimeter, we will write it in centimeter. The instructions of CIE, Cambridge International Examinations, unless the accuracy is not given, we will write our answer, final answer. If not exact, of course, we have to round it as 3 significant figures or more. The next one. This triangle, there is a relation between x and 18 and the angle 65. What is the relation between this 18 and the angle? The angle is like that, it closes its mouth, so we name it the opposite. It's opposite to the angle. And what about the side between the angles to the right angle? We used to name it adjacent. It links the angle to the right angle. So it's also TOA. Tan 65 degrees is opposite over adjacent. In order to make cross multiplication, put an invisible one below tan 65 and say fraction equals fraction, then cross multiplication. So now x equals a long dash divided by the number connected to x, which is tan 65. I'm not concerned to find tan 65. We will write it on the calculator. He will do everything. The calculator will do all the calculation. So here is 1 multiplied by 18. No need to calculate it. It's 18 divided by 1065. 18 divided by 1065 is 8.39 rounded to 3 significant figures or more. In the next question, we need to find the angle. So, what is the relation between the sides, the given and the both sides and the angle? This side is opposite to the angle. And this side connects the angle to the right angle. So it's the adjacent side. What is the relation? It is TOA. As long no hypotenuse mentioned, no required, we write 10. How much is the angle? We don't know. It is 10x. We need to find it. And write the fraction dash opposite over adjacent. How to remove the word 10 and to just find x? How to remove it? It's a function. We don't divide by the word 10. It's not a word, it's a function. So x is tan inverse 7 over 6. How to click it? You click Shift, tan, and then the fraction box over box, the fraction button, you know it, this one. And you write here 7 and here 6. So now Shift, tan, 7 over 6 equals, you will get the angle directly. It is 49.3987, tick, tick, tick. The angle should be rounded up to 1 decimal place. It will be 49.4 degrees. 1 decimal place. Okay, now let's go to the next page. We'll make more practice on SOHCAHTOA. Now here we have the angle, the acute angle is 24. Check, you have a right angle? Yes, so we can use SOHCAHTOA or Pythagoras. As long as there is an acute angle mentioned, which is the 24, given or required, like an x, it's not Pythagoras, it is SOHCAHTOA. What is the relation between this 24 and the side that is opposite to it? Oh, it's opposite. Opposite to the angle. And this side is opposite to the right angle, so it is the famous. That's right. The 3 functions. We call them trigonometric functions. SOHCAHTOA. What is the relation? It is opposite over hypotenuse, so it is so. We write here sine the angle, which is 24, is equal to opposite, which is k, over hypotenuse, which is 6. And we put an invisible one in order to say fraction equals fraction, then cross multiplication. K equals 6, 10, 24. I'm reminding you, don't write 10, 24 times 6 to protect you. 6, 10, 24 equals 2.67 centimeters because it's a side. Next question. What is the relation between the 55 degrees and this side? It closes the angle, closes the mouth of the angle. So it is opposite to the angle. We name it. The other one is the longest side in the right angle triangle. We name it hypotenuse. It's the same relation as the previous one. It is opposite over hypotenuse. It is so. You write sine the angle, which is 55 degrees, equals opposite, which is 2, over the hypotenuse, which is y. We put here an invisible one in order to say fraction equals fraction, then cross multiplication. Y equals a long dash divided by the number connected to y, which is sine 55. What shall we write up? It is 1 multiplied by 2. But on the calculator, just write 2 divided by sine 55. It will be 2.44 centimeters. I'm reminding you, any side, of course, the answer is infinite because sine 24 or sine 55, they are irrational numbers. It's infinite on the display. We have to cut it 3 significant figures or more. About the last one, we need to find the angle x. Before going to the last one, we have to check something using our logic. Of course, you have to check your work in exams. After you finish, redo it again, redo it, and use your calculator, check the display, check every number written on the display to guarantee that you'll have the full mark. Now, does this make sense that k, 2.67 centimeters, is less than the hypotenuse, which is 6? Yes, because hypotenuse is the longest one. Here we have to find the hypotenuse. We got it more than the 2 centimeters. Yes, that's good because hypotenuse should be the longest one. Please always remember this fact. Now, what is the relation between these sides and this? This is the opposite to the angle. And this is the hypotenuse. It's the same relation. Does this mean that all the page is speaking about so? Yes. I arranged it like that. So now you will write sine, the angle which we don't know, equals opposite over hypotenuse. I want to let you take care of something. There is something which will, let's draw this danger sign. This is very scary. Oh, if we write sine x equals 26 over 14, I assure you that the calculator will refuse to get you an answer. You made a mistake. If you put wrong ratio and ask the calculator, you made the mistake, not the calculator. If you are asking him, what about if the opposite over the hypotenuse is 26 over 14? Please find the angle. Yes, calculator is a stupid machine, but it's well programmed that the opposite should be smaller than the hypotenuse. Try it on the calculator. It will give you a mathematical error. Okay, so always check your work. Sine x is 14 over 26. How to remove the function sine? You just write the angle x is sine inverse 14 over 26. Click shift sine, as we learned before, shift sine 14 over 26. equals, it will be 32.6 degrees. Angles are given to one decimal place always. The third one, ta-da-da, it's quiz time. Who will do it? What is the relation? Who will say? Okay. Is anything mentioned about the opposite? No. Please don't write its name. I don't want to confuse you. Okay? Write only the names of A and 40. Okay. 40, who knows? Yes, correct. It's the hypotenuse. And this is an angle to the right angle. This is the name of the side that connects angle to the right angle. It's adjacent. Let's write so ca toa. Sure, it's not toa because we have a hypotenuse. Who will say so or ka? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Yes, it's ka. So now let's write cosine, the angle, which is 26, equals adjacent over hypotenuse. If you make a mistake, you will know that you made a mistake because the side A should be less than 40. Deal? Always try to have sense and always try to have expectations. So A equals 40 cosine 26. Don't write cosine 26 times 40. Okay? 40 cosine 26 equals how much? It is 35.95 as 4 significant figures. But if you need to find it as 3 significant figures cut, it will be 36.0 centimeters. This is how to round 3 significant figures. 36 is less than 40. Thank God we didn't make any mistakes. Please have self-confidence. We are strong. So now, what is the relation between, don't tell me, don't write opposite because opposite is not given nor required. Okay, what's the name of this one? It is the hypotenuse because it's opposite to the 90 degrees. And what about the side that connects the angle to the right angle? It is the adjacent. So adjacent over hypotenuse, it's cosine. Cosine 15 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, which is what? You have to write the invisible one and saying fraction equals fraction, then plus multiplication. Y equals a long dash divided by the number connected to y, which is cosine 15. What shall we write up? 1 multiplied by 14.6 on the calculator. 14.6 divided by cosine 15, which is 15.1. But this time it's in millimeter. Take care. The last one. What is the relation between these sides and the angle E? Now the angle is unknown. Okay, let's do it. This is the longest side, which is hypotenuse. What is this side? It links the angle with the right angle. What do we call it? Yes, it's adjacent. Adjacent over hypotenuse. We are still dealing with cosine. So now cosine, the angle, which is E, is adjacent 0.2 over 0.6. It is just a ratio, as I told you. In order to get rid of the word cosine, you just click shift cosine and we write it as cosine inverse 0.2 over 0.6. Take care. If you flip, you know. Shift cosine. The angle is 70.5 degrees. And that's all for today. Thank you, my dears. See you in the next video, Pythagoras theorem. Bye-bye.